hubs, it's just spreading out like fire. So even this time when the registrations had opened, we had like 500 attendee registrations, which is like a record.
Yeah, so this time we had record-breaking, not just registration, even speaker registration, like qualified speaker registration, and it was span of 2 weeks. That's like just 10 days, 10 working days. And that's commendable. Thank you all for helping us make this event.
Well, that's not the end of it. This year, vodka has gone international too.
Oh, yes, it's went live on Singapore on 15th of April this year. So we are going international, bigger, better, all because of your help. Thank you.
So once again, I thank all of you all for coming and be part of this wonderful journey with us. So to get started, first we would be having a keynote session. So our first speaker for today is Mr. Anand Bagmar. He's working in ThoughtWorks as the Deep QA. He has 19 years of experience in the IT industry, and he has built many open source automated testing tools. He's written many testing blogs, and how much ever I say, it's always less for this gentleman. So I call upon Anand.
I really don't know what this means. I've been called here, and the first thing that is coming up he has going to tell is something drastically different. And it's not related in any way, let me tell you that first.
Sorry, I'm a little spoiled sport at this point right now. Since we are getting started with it, there are some basic rules that we want to follow. So please keep your cell phones on silent, right? We all want to enjoy this event and be attentive at the same time. And as you know, as you can see, this is our office space. Please respect that. There might be some items lying around. Please don't move them. They're intended to be there. If they're there, okay? And please, while giving a talk or while even interacting, please don't use derogatory languages. And while giving a talk, please be sure about any kind of confidential item or talk that you're giving. Please be aware of that. And always, we appreciate feedback. So the things that we are doing, we are getting better and bigger is because of the feedback that you have been giving us. We have a feedback app there. We have put the QR code. You can just scan it, and the feedback app will be there for you. And you can give feedback for the event and all the talks that we are going to hold today. And for doing that, what do we need? We need to go online.
So you need Wi-Fi, right? Your Wi-Fi password. So again, on those posters, we have put the Wi-Fi password. So you can use that, and you can tweet. So our Twitter handle is #vodka. So keep tweeting the whole day about this good event.
Good. So we all know what the rules are. We all know how to get online, and we should get started with. Get rolling.
Thank you. The thing that they missed out saying, thankfully, is we are also live streaming this. This is the first time we are in vodka we are doing. All the talks, 45 minutes lightning talks, we'll be doing live streaming of that. So people who are not able to attend, they can hopefully catch it online as it happens or afterwards also from our Vodka Night channel on YouTube. That said, thank you everyone for coming in. Good morning to you all. The weather is pretty nice compared to yesterday, right? Thankfully. We were all worried, what do we really do with this? Can't put a big umbrella around. So this helped out. Without wasting more time, let's get started. I don't want to take up too much of your time from a keynote perspective. I know we all are excited to get into the talks, understand new things, learn new things, understand different perspectives. But I just wanted to pass on a certain message before we kick off. And that is really related to the theme of innovation. Why do we do innovation? It is to help create a better future for us, for people around us, for people who may not be really around us, but somewhere across the globe. It's still the same word. So, what are certain things that I think I've understood from the industry so far, and where are we headed towards? What do we really need to do to get there? I want to just quickly share my perspective and hopefully it will resonate with you. I think enough has been said about myself, it's not about me. My contact information is here, Twitter ID and more information from my about me page. And I am of course here the whole day, we can keep in track as the day progresses. How many of us over here work in the agile way of working? Sorry, wrong question. How many of us are not working that way? Okay, there's still a good number of you. Now, though this slide really talks about 3 lives of a QA in agile, it is really applicable in other methodologies also. Okay? So QA lives 3 lives, like the cat has 9 lives, the QA has 3 lives in my opinion. And that is, the first is the past. We have to continue supporting what has been developed, what has been deployed to production. We become subject matter experts also. To do that, we get involved in various activities like retrospectives, supporting prior iterations, whatever is required. And the crux of our time is spent in the present. Hopefully what we think is the present. In the present, there are a lot of things that we need to do in our day-to-day activities, and they could be right from planning meetings, actually testing the stories or the requirements as they come up, and automation of various different sorts that might be there. This is just a very high-level list of that. Also, showcasing what has happened. That is another important activity. There is also a third dimension, which is the future. And if we don't keep an eye out for what is happening in our projects coming up, it is going to be a bad thing because we're not really planning and being proactive about how are we going to test those kind of functionalities. And then, in the future, we have to look at the backlog grooming and the correct type of prioritization to be ready and adjust ourselves in time when those new set of requirements come through. Okay. Now, what are the capabilities and skills required really to make this happen? There are a lot of activities that we get involved in. And I'm very quickly going to walk through what some of those are. This is not a complete list again, right? But the premise of whatever we do, and by we, I'm saying everyone involved in building a quality product. It's not just about testers or testing or QAs or whatever the titles might be. The main thing is, are we building the right product? And yes, if we are building the right product, have we built it right? We have to answer these questions with a good set of confidence across all different roles to make sure it's actually going to deliver value to the end users. To achieve this, there are a bunch of keywords that I've written over here. What are the different set of capabilities and skills that we would need to have? It's right from consulting side, speaking about testing, talking to various different roles, what might be there, getting involved in coaching, enabling, risk identification. There's a bunch of things. Okay? This is the soft skills in most cases, right? On top of this, the most important ones that we require is the testing mindset. If you do not have that testing mindset, and again, remember, I'm talking about the activity, not the role. If you do not think about quality as a built-in DNA in whatever we are doing, it is set up for failure in various ways. So the testing mindset is something that is most important. And then along with that, there are various other things in terms of domain knowledge, functional knowledge, actual testing skills that would be required. Various types of NFRs that would be there. Automation is just one point, but that could be 10 different slides just talking about automation. So there's so many different things that as a QA or as people involved in testing activities that we can build our skills on. How many of us in this room or in this office think we will be able to do all of these? What percentage of these, so if for example in these 2 slides we've got about 25 points, how many of these items can we build expertise in realistically? 20-25% maybe. And again, that's a very relative thing, right? Because what do we mean by expertise? I could know about all of these at a 0.1% expertise for each of these items, but I could actually pick up a certain set of items from this and build deeper expertise into these, which is very essential because if we get pigeonholed into just one set of activities and not know about anything else, that is again going to be limiting us more than anyone else. So we need to be aware of what are the different things that are going on from all different perspectives and see which areas really work for me that I'm really interested in to build the expertise in. Okay? Let's look at the journey so far, what has been in the software industry. You're able to see the slide. Okay? Very quickly, I want to walk through certain set of things in form of evolution, what has happened in the industry so far. Let's start with media first. How many of us remember this? Everyone knows this? Right? How many of us still use it? Okay, there's one person over there. And by the way, he's Abhinav, UI developer. He still writes his JS and everything and copies it across documents. Okay? We definitely don't use these anymore. It's very limiting, it doesn't work for the scale that we want. So that is a past. Okay? In the present, USB flash drives or SSDs. That is a norm. Any machine that we get, even a laptop that we get, typically we try to get, can we get SSD in that? It's going to be faster. Or USB pen drives. I have one which is 128 GB, which sits in my wallet for that matter. It's become that good. What is the future in these devices? In these type of media? Cloud. Cloud is one of the things. What next after cloud? Is cloud really the future or is that the present? Right? So I need to update that slide, right? It's not the future, it's actually the present right now. So what is the future in that case? Have you ever thought about it? Let's look at something else, user interface. How many of us have seen these? Do we still use these? Yeah. In some cases, you better get your eyes checked very quickly. Okay? And for a good reason, they are not used anymore, right? They're big, bulky, not as good for the eyes. So the present is really flat screens, LCDs, LEDs, whatever that may be. Also, it has evolved so much, it's not just about what type of machines we are working with, flight simulators, which have been around for a long time for that matter, right? But they are getting more and more sophisticated. This lady over here is browsing a watch catalog, which is on a glass panel. She's not in a store for that matter, right? Where all hundreds of watches are there. Interfaces are evolving. How many of us have seen the movie? Which one is this? Right? Remember this one? Do you think this is really the future? Or is it really the present right now? Not on mass scale. Right. It would be there in some niche areas, industries that would be there. So, the line between present and future is diminishing really fast. Okay? Something for us to keep an eye out for. Communication. Anyone use this? Anyone not seen this? I'm glad, others I would have felt really, really old. So good. We all know what this inland letter is, right? And it's a 50 paisa, not 50 rupees for that matter. That is past. Remember these phones? I'm still trying to find an antique phone like that and see if it will work. It will not work because it's analog, right? Not digital. Remember these devices? Nokia 6110. Right? Really powerful, and they did what a device was supposed to do, unlike what we carry today. Everything but a phone. Right? So that is really the present in that sense, right? Smartphones is a present. Again, is that really present or is that past? What is next? Sorry? Wearables. Who said that? Wow. You're jumping ahead. But absolutely, right? This is not really present. It is old. It's been around for quite some time. What is the future? Tablets. Is that future? I had my first tablet about 4 years ago. Okay? There is, again, the line is dividing very fast. Okay? Wearables. We can come back in again for a second. Wearables. Wearables of various different forms for that matter. It could be glass, watches. If that is the present, again, what is the future? Maybe it is putting a chip inside our body and doing something more on that. That seems to be the most logical thing. We are getting something on our body which is going to give more information based on what we are doing. Think about what will happen if it actually gets inside us. Scary. Okay? And this leads naturally into the Internet of Things, which is how all these different devices really operate with each other. Because in isolation, it does not really make a lot of sense. The true value comes when they start integrating with each other and sharing information with each other. And we do have a bunch of talks later today, which are going to talk about wearables. So it's in the lightning section. Do attend that for sure. Okay? And that's all fine in terms of media, communication, what is there. What is really the next generation thing? A lot of these things we've seen in movies or whatever it might be, right? Certain things are actually getting to mass production or mass usage. But 3D printers, that in a way it's still a niche area, but it's again available in the masses in various ways, right? How could you test what is being created over here by 3D printer? Have you thought about it? What about if you're able to build a gun? How would you test that? Oh, let me see if it fires. End of story. But these are interesting challenges that we need to start thinking about. It is very essential to start thinking about not just how can you start consuming these new technology advancements, but how can you incorporate in your career path as well to start looking ahead. Okay? How many of us have heard about the spatial operating system? This is something which was, I saw a TED talk which was done in 2010. Professor John Koffler, MIT research scientist. And he demonstrated using gloves how you can control different objects virtually, various ways. How many of us have heard about 6 Sense? Not the movie. But still the same principle. We're on the same page. Pranav Mistry. Watch his videos. It is amazing what you can do with low-cost technology and how you can really start making a difference. How you can start consuming and using that information much more seamlessly. Very interesting thing. Today morning, I read an article shared by some of our colleagues, Google Projects solely. What it has is it has got some kind of a radar tracking. There is no physical interaction, but you can see what kind of interactions are going on. Another example is the transistor. Selecting songs, changing volumes along with that. Potentials are immense. It's up to us what do we do with it. Okay? So it's for us, for individuals to introspect. Close your eyes for 5 seconds, anything more you will fall asleep. But think about which life are you living in? Are you living in the past? Are you working in the past? Are you being in the present? Where the line is really divided, or are you starting to look at the future and what that future really means and how can you start influencing it? Very important for us to think about. Okay? So from a testing perspective, what does it mean? You can be future looking, you know what the latest advancements are, but I think you're just a consumer of that. How much value is it going to be by just consuming? Can you start influencing the future? That is the key. And that is where it gets really, really interesting and extremely challenging as well. Okay? So what is the future of a quality analyst or from a testing activities perspective from my opinion? It is a huge future. Okay? We are at crossroads where there are so many opportunities, it is actually confusing which direction should I go. And I don't know what prevents us taking that next step, and that's why we end up being in the past or the present itself. We need to take some form of risks and identify opportunities where we can really get to that next level. Do we want to just follow the footsteps or the career paths that have been laid in front of us in the industry which is really governed by businesses and not really based on what is the right thing to be done? Or do we find opportunities to say, what can I do to really make a difference in whatever we are doing or where we are living? It's all up to us, how do we really take that forward? Okay? If you end up following the footsteps, what's going to happen? It's a classic problem of trying to take an existing solution and fitting it forcefully into something that does not make sense. That is what happens most of the times with our tooling, for example. I have this license already available. I don't care what product I'm developing. I'll just use the same tool to do automation or testing on that. One of the worst case scenarios, what you could have in the real world, because you're not using the tool in the right way for the right purpose. Okay? So what do we really need to do next? We understand what are the different opportunities we have, what we can do. Here are some tips from my opinion what can help. Okay? Everyone knows how fishing is done. A fisherman goes with a pole and a wire with some bait, and it's a very patient profession, if I may call it a profession for that matter. It's more of a leisure activity. A lot of people get great value and peace by going fishing. But look at this person who has this fishing rod. You need to be like this person. Why? Because he was lazy. He was impatient, or it could be she for that matter. Why is that helpful? Because out of that laziness, out of that impatience, innovation happened. Creativity came across to say, I'm going to be sitting right here, maybe I'll read a book, maybe I'll do something else, but I don't want to lose out to the fish that comes across. You need to be that lazy person, in a certain way, with a grain of salt. That is a very important part. Not just be lazy. So that's the first tip. Be lazy. Get bored of doing the same mundane activities every time. The minute that boredom comes in, then the next challenging thing is, I know I am bored, what do I do next? First step is always difficult to identify that I am bored. I cannot keep on doing this thing every time. And once that happens, then the next step is easier to take. So that's the first one. Be open-minded. Don't just follow in the footsteps or whatever paths have been laid out. That's one of the reasons where whenever I speak to people, whether it's in one-on-one discussions, conferences or anything, I am not assertive in saying this is what should be done. Because that decision is an individual decision. I can share my suggestions, my options, what makes sense to me, but the decision is someone else's. You have to be open-minded, keep an open ear around it, keep your eyes open, see what is going on, and find out opportunities, what can be done next. Okay, that's the next one. Third, be creative. Again, ties to the same things, right? It's leading on one after the other. These are all related. Nothing can happen in isolation. There are various set of practices or thought processes you need to come together with, which is going to say, yes, this is something that we are working. Persistent, not the company. If you are not persistent with this, your ideas will not work. It's a research area of sorts of water. You're trying things out. You have to persist with your ideas for some time till you get success. The fisherman over there, how much time would he have had to make sure the pole is set correctly and it's just not going to budge, or it will budge in certain situations? You have to be persistent till it got perfect to say, yes, this is going to work for me. Very important when you're trying out new things for sure. You have to evolve. As you learn new things, as you understand new things, you have to find out ways, how can I update my learning and keep on getting better. You have to learn from others' mistakes more than learn from others' good practices, good things that have worked for them. Because a lot of learning comes from mistakes for that matter. Which means you have to also fail fast. You try it out, quickly figure out, is this incremental step going to work for me to take it to the next step or not? If it's not good, I found out something that's not going to work. It's a good learning. Fail fast. Don't just wait for a year to figure out, oh, I shouldn't have used selenium for this, for example. Very important. Sharing and learning. Whatever you want to do in form of evolution or failing fast or persistent, if you do not share and learn from others, it is not going to work. You'll be working in isolation, you are ending up reinventing the same wheel potentially. Why? Piggyback on whatever other ideas, solutions might be there, and keep on getting better from that. Okay? Evangelize. If you do not talk about your ideas or your thought process, how will you get feedback for it, and how will you get others also to get onto the same track to make use of what your learnings are? Whether it's, again, one-on-ones, study groups, conferences, meetups, whatever it might be. Find out ways where you can keep talking about it, sharing your thoughts, blogs, writing books, whatever it might be. That is your opinion. Others may not agree to it, but keep sharing it. Very essential to do that. Okay? And then, the most important thing, now that you have certain tips in mind, Most important thing, you have to think. Don't be in the same rut. Learn to take risks, calculated risks. How can you take it to the next level? You have to think about how can I think out of this box. I'm not cocooned in this one small space. I have this floors to move around. Why am I just standing in one corner or one tile over here? You have to step out of the box, see what is going around you, and that will help you a lot. Taking breaks is one of the examples. You're stuck on a complex problem, take frequent breaks. That subconscious mind will tell you a lot of things which we are not able to think about earlier. Okay? To end with, of sorts, I want to share some of my experience and what has really helped me. As Diana, they mentioned earlier, I was fortunate in a way to have had some ideas, or actually a lot of ideas, but some of them I actually got the courage to work on and got the support to work on. And I created a couple of open source tools related with testing. Or I wrote a lot of blogs and all. It worked out for me, and I tried it. But one thing that really helped me, and it just changed my complete perspective, was when I was trying to build a product out of PTA, the concept of PTA, test and analyze it. And my North Star over there, my guiding light was, I have an idea, how do I really evangelize it? How do I start buying support from people in terms of adoption, in terms of they giving feedback? And this particular book, Fearless Change, Linda Rising and Marilyn Mans, was extremely useful for me. I was also fortunate last year in vodQA-Pune. She did a workshop and I had a chance to attend that workshop. Got a lot of value from that. So I'm not going to talk much about the book, but mainly about influence. If you have an idea, how do you start influencing people around you to try and share that idea across, get feedback and increase adoption? I'm sure every one of us has ideas. Here are some tips which may help you. Okay? She talks about 5 different categories of people. Rather, the book talks about 5 different categories of people. First one is innovators. Innovators are people who have ideas. I have got an idea, how can I make this particular talk better, for example? How can I make a product better? Or there's something missing in this space, how can I build something? Whatever that idea might be. Those are the innovators. And that's a very small bunch of people. Okay? Innovators get the idea. What happens is they start sharing those ideas. If this is the room, if I know all the people over here, or most of the people, I'll find out a set of people based on that idea who might be eager to listen to it, understand it, maybe try it out, because they're risk takers of sorts. What's the worst that can happen? I'll try it out, I'll give feedback, and tomorrow I'll move on to something else. These are your early adopters. These are your first bet of sharing the thought process and getting information from them. Is it going to work or not? After the early adopters, then you have the early majority. When the rest of the group sees, so if you have to do percentage-wise, for example, out of 100 people, let's say 2 of them are innovators. Maybe 10 of them are the early adopters. Maybe 20 of them are early majority. But early majority will get involved in it only after they see some kind of adoption. The adopters have used it, they have spoken more wider about it, and now the early majority is going to get involved and they'll try it and then get feedback out. Once early majority, which might be 30–40% of the group, then comes in the late majority. So everyone is doing it, so I will. Okay? And then, regardless of what you do, there is always going to be a group of laggards which say, I don't care. If I am being forced to do it, then I will do it, but again, I really don't want to. I'm doing it just because I'm forced to. The minute you understand this and you start putting people in various buckets based on your idea, you know I don't need to worry about getting 100% buy-in. I have an idea, let me start working with the 5–10% of early adopters and start getting that feedback. It keeps my motivation up, it starts getting inputs back from them. Once I get feedback, then together, instead of one person doing that, together, we'll talk to the early majority. We'll try and influence them. Once early majority is done, then we'll get to the next stage. This helps keep frustration down. Right? Because it's such a big idea, no one is using it. You might be just targeting laggards over there for that matter, or late majority. It's nothing against them, it's just their personality. And remember, a laggard in one idea might be an innovator in another. So it's not a person is categorized and hard fixed into the same category. It depends on the idea, the domain, whatever that might be. So don't categorize people in that sense, right? It's based on each idea, you would have a different set of people falling into that category. You might be an innovator in one and a laggard in the other, for example. Very well might be the case. So this is something that helped me a lot in building PTA and getting to a reasonable state of acceptance for it. It made my journey much more easier because I did not have to worry about people who were not adopting it or not listening to the idea, and it still kept me motivated to keep trying and doing things in a different way. This is a thought that I wanted to leave you with. And the last question is to you again. I do not want you to speak it out, but who are you? As an individual, who are you? Are you a leader or are you a follower? Think about it, and I hope the rest of this day provides you enough ideas and thoughts to take back in your own personal life, in your careers, to see how you can be taking a little more risks, doing a little bit more different things around it. And most importantly, how can you really be part of influencing the future instead of just following and adopting the future? Okay? Thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a rocking day. Any feedback, please ask me.
Thank you, Anand, so much for giving us your valuable inputs and helping us recognize who we are actually. So, now could I request all the speakers to come forward?
So if everybody has seen the agenda, they already know that the agenda is divided into 3 tracks, at least for the talks. You already know. And workshops you have already registered yourself for the workshop. So how do you decide which track you want to go to? We still don't know exactly what the speakers are going to say, and will there be something that will impress me, after they have spoken about it? Is it in line with what I have come for in this event, right? So we have introduced a very unique thing as part of this event this time, and which is called as sales pitch. As we all know what a sales pitch is, I'll just explain in one liner what it is. It's a time where you sell your idea, right? So I'm going to give this platform to all the speakers, and they can try to get as many audience in their track when they are speaking. So this is their time. This is the platform where you can actually talk about your talk and try to get as many audiences as you want. Okay. So the first speaker that I want to invite is Yaya and Siddharth. They both are thought process. Over to you.
Okay. Do you know what the problem is? The problem is that the person who built this infrastructure did not test it, and now it's unusable. Our talk from QA to DevOps will focus pretty much on the same concept. We'll talk about why you need to test your application infrastructure, your servers, your network components, so on and so forth, and what you need to test in your infrastructure. And all of this with a fun interactive activity. So do honor us with your presence to find out what possible innovation and what the future holds in this interesting domain of infrastructure testing. 12 p.m. sharp at the I'm distributing money well.
Interesting.
Okay, that came after the 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, so money thing is not counted. Can we have Vishnu and Sridhar here?
Right. So, can anyone tell me what is the difference between the two blog posts? I can tell you that there is a typo, and the font size and the color of one of the elements is different. Can anyone tell me in 10 seconds what is the difference? No, right? Join me in my talk and I'll tell you exactly how to do it in less than 10 seconds. Yeah. Thank you.
Can we have Rohit and Prashant?
So software testing testing is all about providing input and validating the output. But at the same time, you have to keep an eye on the logs at backend. So, for example, if you want to validate the contents of log programmatically, so the log should not contain error, or the log should contain a particular string in it, it becomes difficult. So we have n number of applications and n number of logs are flowing in. So call to all the software testers in the house. I'll be showcasing some open source tools with the help of which you can pass your logs, you can store them, and you can easily validate the contents of the logs. A demo will also be shown. Thank you.
If you have Rajdeep.
So the topic of title of my talk is multiplication and division of terabyte test. So here I am going to talk about an open source tool which I created for distributing the test across multiple devices, and also to solve the problem of testing cross-platform testing of various Android devices, testing the device fragmentation using the automation which we have already created. I'll be also showing a quick demo of how to do it. Track 3, 11 out. Thanks.
If you have Abhinav.
Floppy disk. Yeah, I'm a floppy disk guy. I'm Abhinav Sharma. Anyways, I can speak up. So we have heard about and we have talked about internationalization a lot many times, but have we faced the issues? How to test, how to automate, and how to make sure that the fort which we are building on top of the existing fort is not breaking. So just join me in facing internationalization at Falcon track 1. Thanks.
And then Angana and Kovila.
Hi, I'm Devangana, she's Kokila. In our talk on dividing and conquering the testing in data analytics domain, we'll basically be telling you about the challenges that you would face on a typical data analytics project and how you go about facing those challenges and building a very effective test strategy around it.
Thank you, everyone. So those are the 6 talks that we have, and everybody made quite an impressive sales pitch. So hopefully everybody knows where they have to go. If at all you still don't know and you are interested in a particular track, the agenda is put up there, and track 1 is here, track 3 is that side, and track 1 is on that side. So, sorry, track 1 here, track 2, track 3. Sorry, my mistake. So,
Track 2 and track 3.
track 1 is here. Oh, I'm very, very sorry. Track 2, 3 here, my bad. Saturday is kicking in. Track 1 here, area. Okay, so the agenda is up there. You heard all the speakers. You can make up your